Hey, welcome back, yo. Fitness Live. We're here at 10:30 this week. Normally it's 12 Eastern time. We had to go a little early. Camille's got to travel for work. So here we go. Today we're talking about satellite cells and the important role they play in hypertrophy. It's pretty interesting stuff. It's pretty nerdy, a little more nerdy than what we normally do. But we're going to go ahead and put our biology hats on and rock and roll. Do we have any updates?
I don't think so.
No updates. Everybody's rocking and rolling into prep. They're 8 weeks out from the OCP Chesapeake.
Yes.
Other than that, Camille and I are always making gains. We're always
this
thing. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about these satellite cells and the importance they play in muscle hypertrophy. We've done something like this prior. If you remember the word trauma.
Yes.
You're going to hear it again today.
Definitely. So satellite cells play a really essential role in both muscle repair as well as muscle growth. And so a great way to think about satellite cells are almost like muscle-specific stem cells. Yes. And so they really are kind of the superhero when it comes to muscle repair. And we're going to talk all about that today, from what are they to how do you unlock them to get better hypertrophy and growth, especially when you reach a plateau. And then are there any supplements that you can take to even help a little more? So I think it's a pretty fun topic. You guys know I like to nerd it up and love the science behind things. And so it's always a really fun topic to talk about. But even though we have a specific topic for today, keep in mind you can ask us anything that you want. We are here for you guys. So just fire away in the chat and we'll answer whatever questions you have, even if it's unrelated to the topic.
Absolutely.
All right, so satellite cells, let's talk about them. First and foremost, like I said, you can think of them as like a muscle-specific stem cell. In terms of location, these little tiny cells hang out extracellularly, and well, they're kind of like a matrix, and they're in between the. Yeah, all right. It's too nerdy. It's getting too deep. Just they reside on a cellular level in the muscle fiber and the tissues, right? They're in that muscle fiber membrane.
So these things are cool, and the reason they're cool is because they're muscle specific. Mm-hmm. They don't do anything unless it has to do with your muscles.
Right. And so satellite cells are actually dormant or hibernating for the most part. But when you work out really, really hard and expose your muscles to the trauma, they can wake up and get to work on helping you build larger muscles or repair that tissue.
You are 100% correct. And I have to rewind. I said they don't do anything unless it's muscle specific.
Well, yeah.
They do. They will activate for trauma, broken bones, burned skin, severe burns, et cetera, they will activate and repair those things as well.
Right.
But today we're just talking about muscle trauma. We're not talking about you getting into a car accident and activating satellite cells.
So I'll try not to go too deep with it, but your muscle fibers have multiple nuclei, and these nuclei control the protein synthesis and the muscle growth. And so you kind of only have so much. But the cool thing with the satellite cells is they kind of hang out in the background, kind of waiting in reserve. They're like, your teammates on the bench ready to get into the fight. And so they can actually donate a nuclei and fuse with the existing muscle fibers. So,
oh, my goodness, y'all.
I try not to.
What did we just do here? If you remember back in biology class, cells have a nuclei. Normally, they only have one.
Right.
Muscle cells have the ability to have more than one nuclei, and the satellite cells come in and they give you that extra nuclei.
Right. The key is that you're not always kind of activating these spare nuclei or satellite cells. You have to create the trauma, like we said. And that's really the secret to unlocking hypertrophy and getting those gains faster.
And that's the cool part with them. They just hang out until they're needed. Mm-hmm. They literally do not do anything in your body. They just hang out until they are needed. And what we're talking about today is creating the trauma, going intense enough to activate a satellite cell. If you didn't activate a satellite cell, you didn't create muscle hypertrophy, by the way. You didn't. You just went and maintained what you did. You didn't activate, you didn't create any trauma, you didn't do hypertrophy. So believe me, if you go into the gym, go hard.
Right.
Don't waste your time. Create that trauma and get those gains and get a satellite cell activated.
So the best way to do that is to focus on progressively overloading, which means gradually increasing your resistance in your workouts over time. And in doing that, it stimulates that those muscle fibers and activates those satellite cells that come in and help with some of the repair.
Yes. So that takes the subjectivity out of it, y'all. If you're writing it down, it's now objective. If you're not writing it down, you go, oh, that felt hard. Oh, that felt heavy. I'm good.
Right.
The people doing that are messing up. They're not activating their satellite cells.
Absolutely. The key is to really engage in strength training that truly is going to challenge you and your muscles. And like James said, the best way to know what that is to keep a logbook and actually write it down, because there's a lot of different factors with sleep and nutrition and how you're feeling, but that doesn't mean that you're exposing the muscle fibers to an added stimulus.
Right. And if you come in and do the same weight for the same reps, you didn't make any gains yet.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to do another rep or add some weight, or you're just staying the same.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to activate a satellite cell. It is not. You have to create literal trauma in your body. It's not an easy thing to do.
Absolutely.
Keep that in mind.
And and just after doing that trauma, that's when the satellite cells run in, they fuse themselves, and then they help repair all that damaged fibers, which overall leads to hypertrophy over time. Like that repeated trauma, that repeated beating in the gym is what's going to activate those satellite cells and give you overall growth.
Right. We're talking about microscopic things here. You can't even see it with your eye. It's so small. The trauma we're talking about is microscopic tears in your muscle fibers that get repaired by the satellite cells. So it's very tiny. It's going to take time. It takes time. The first thing you feel is the soreness from the tears.
Right.
And that's your first indicator you did the right thing.
I mean, I remember the first time just hearing about satellite cells. I was like, well, wait a minute. There's something hanging out there that I can like activate and then get better hypertrophy and bigger muscles. Well, then, like, let's go to the gym and do some trauma so I can do that. Like, so I think it's a pretty neat thing. It's definitely something to consider if you're a more advanced lifter, like you've been lifting for some time. That's when you really need to start thinking about, hey, how can I tap into something else to kind of help get in additional gains?
Yep. It's all about making it harder, more intense.
Yeah. Well, and again, I see we had a few more people join us. So if you have any questions, even if they're unrelated to this, just fire away. We love hearing from you guys and answering any questions that you have. So going along those lines, there's usually a limit to how much you can progressive overload. And then like at some point you naturally hit a plateau. And so then you're like, well, crap, what do I do? I want more satellite cells, but I can't lift any harder. I'm not creating more trauma anymore. What do I do to get past that? And we actually have a lot of great videos at busting through your plateaus. In fact, there's an entire video series with that. So I would probably start there, but there's also some really great supplements that you can try that actually help with this as well.
Right. So our videos, our workouts and intensifying techniques designed to get you through your plateaus, bust you through your plateaus. There are actual supplements that are just for busting through your plateaus.
Right.
I would recommend doing both. Take the supplement and do the video series with the intensifying techniques at the same time. If you want to bust those plateaus, they're not easy, man. Believe me, I've been plateaued several times over the last 26 years, and they're not easy to bust through. Anything that you can do to help, I would highly recommend.
Absolutely. So one of our favorite supplements is by Molecular Nutrition. It's called X Factor.
X.
Yes. Let's see. It is basically made up of this substance called ARA, which is arachidonic acid. Super hard to pronounce, y'all.
It's an omega fatty acid.
Yeah, an omega-6 fatty acid. And this just helps your body recover, repair, and get usually you feel stronger. Actually, this supplement's been studied a lot, and it actually contributes to lean muscle mass gain and strength gain as well as the repairing.
Correct. Hey, listen, y'all. This supplement is patented.
Yes.
I do not have any knowledge of any other supplement having a patent. That should tell you something right there. It's not easy to get a patent. They don't give it to anybody for no reason. So if it's a supplement that doesn't do anything, it wouldn't have a patent. And it's valuable because they had to patent the formula so nobody could steal it. One of the only patented supplements I'm aware of.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of research done behind it. In fact, if you go on the site for molecular nutrition and look it up, you can click on some of the research that has been done on it. So really great supplement. Usually within like a day or two of taking this, I literally feel stronger. You know, I've been definitely trying to progressive overload on my shoulder press and my chest press, and I definitely was able to add an extra rep to both this week. And I'm not sure, usually it takes me a couple of weeks to be able to do that, so I could literally feel that supplement working. So it's a great one.
I agree. I can feel within a day or two. It says not to take it all the time, only when you're plateaued or twice a year.
Yeah, right.
So if you take it all the time, it stops working.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And what other supplement out there says stop taking it? None. This is the only one telling you to cycle off the supplement or work. This actually gives you more satellite cells, y'all. So it's helping you repair. It's getting you stronger. It's getting you faster. And I read 2 different clinical studies before we went live today, and both of them had the results of people that took the X Factor compared to people that didn't take the X Factor. The X Factor blew them out of the water, y'all. Every single subject that was studied that took the X Factor blew the
placebo study
group out of the water. Yeah,
absolutely. And I like, honestly, if you're a beginner or newbie, I wouldn't take this. Like, truly take this like when you're stuck with something and you feel stagnant, you just can't, you know, progress any further in your routine. Yeah,
this is a unique supplement. It tells you to take it when you're plateaued. It has a patent, and it tells you to cycle off of it. Come on, man. This is a very unique
The
supplement.
only thing I will caution you guys, if you do try to start taking this, just be careful. It can cause some GI I'll say stress when you first start taking it. So start with like the lower end of the dose until you see how well your stomach's going to tolerate this, and then you can ramp up. You're supposed to basically take anywhere from 2 to 6 of these soft gels an hour before you work out. And yeah,
give it a couple days. It's usually 3 days before my stomach gets used to it.
Right. And we'll toss up a link for you guys if you'd like to try it. But bottom line, I hope you took something away from this video. And the point that we really wanted to drive home is that, hey, you have this like untapped power in you in satellite cells. You just have to work out intense enough to retrieve it.
Activate them.
Yep. And that will help with growing overall muscle size.
Camille just mentioned it very briefly, but we are as an Amazon affiliate, so the link is going to be in the description. So if you could help us out, click on the link and order the X Factor if you want it.
Yeah.
We highly recommend it, and it does work. Camille and I will tell you that. Within a couple of days, you're feeling stronger. You're recovering quicker. Look it up. Look at the clinical studies. And once again, it has a patent. The X Factor has a patent, y'all. But remember, in order for any of this to work, you have to put your progressive overload workouts in. You have to go intense enough to create that trauma to even activate a satellite cell. So if you're not going hard enough, you don't waste your money on the X Factor, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining us early today. I apologize. I have to head out to Pittsburgh right after this. But we appreciate you guys listening in every Sunday, and just keep those video requests coming. We love filming content for you guys.
Absolutely. That was a short one. You can tell Camille's stressed about this trip and wants to get to Pittsburgh through all this crappy weather and whatnot. So. All right. Thanks for tuning in. She will be back for next week live, so don't stress it. She's only going through the week.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you.
See you next